Hello everyone, this is Rui PCB, your trusted PCB partner. Today we'll introduce how to set up a PCB outline in KiCad. If the board outline for your design project is a simple rectangle or regular polygon, you can draw it directly in the PCB layout. The PCB outline is defined on the cut layer. First we need to select it, then draw the outline. Choose the rectangle drawing tool from the toolbox. Here we'll use drawing a simple rectangle as an example. Next, observe and select a suitable starting point, then place the rectangle. For easier positioning, we need to set the coordinate origin or set the top left corner as the origin. Since we've already set the y-axis to increase downward earlier, setting the top left corner as the origin makes calculations more convenient. After setting the origin, you can see that the coordinate at this position has become 0. Now, select the rectangle and press E to precisely modify it. For example, if our PCB requires dimensions of 75mm by 55mm, just directly adjust the size. Here I recommend choosing the middle option, which allows you to set the size based on the corner and dimensions. This will directly set the final size of the PCB. As for line width and line style, you generally don't need to change them, since this is just the border, and the thickness doesn't matter much. However, make sure to keep the layer as it is. Then, if we've finished setting it up, I also recommend locking it to prevent accidentally moving the board outline while moving components without realizing it. Click OK, and now the board outline is set. In most cases, we round the 4 corners. This is to prevent the sharp corners of the PCB from causing injuries during use, making it safer. So how do we draw rounded corners? We use the drawing tool to draw an arc. Let me zoom in so we can look at the coordinates. Suppose I want to draw a corner with a radius of 4mm. We simply place the mouse at the 4mm mark, click the left mouse button to select the first point, then select the second point, making sure it's at 90 degrees. This way the rounded corner is created. In this way we can draw the rounded corner directly here. When it comes to actual manufacturing, this line will be used as a reference to cut off the corner, turning it into a rounded corner. We don't need to modify the rectangular PCB board again. We just copy this, then paste it onto the other 3 corners in the same way, and use Ctrl+R to rotate it to the appropriate angle. Place it like this. Continue, Ctrl+R. Then, for the last corner, Ctrl+R. At this point, did you notice how easy it was for me to align this position? That's because we set the minimum movement interval to 1 small grid. Since all our dimensions are drawn to a standard size, using 1 small grid as a unit, alignment becomes very easy. Now all 4 corners have become rounded corners. At this point, I think this is a relatively simple drawing method. However, if someone has higher requirements and wants to remove these 4 seemingly sharp corners, even though they don't exist in manufacturing, they do appear on the drawing and can cause misunderstandings. Then drawing them away is a bit more troublesome. You can use the line tool to draw 4 straight lines and then align them with these 4 edges. This way you'll have rounded corners without any sharp points. But personally, I think drawing it this way is a bit more troublesome, so my choice is to first draw a rectangle directly and then add the rounded corners to get a rectangular frame with rounded edges. Then, for many projects, the board structure's shape is irregular and manually drawing it is quite complex. In such cases, you need to import the board outline created by the CAD structural engineer, for example, by importing DWG or DSF format files to define the board structure. Before importing, it's best to communicate with the structural engineer and ask them to export the file in an older version format. For example, if they're using the latest 2020 or 2024 version, it's possible that KiCad hasn't updated that quickly. and importing the newest version might cause errors. So the general recommendation is to have them select a lower version when exporting the file, such as 2020 or 2014. These versions are fine. This ensures that we won't encounter problems during the import process. So how do you import it? Select File, Import, and then choose here. I've already selected my DSF file. As for these parameters, like the board scale, you need to pay close attention to this scale. If the file they gave you is also in millimeters, then you don't need to change the scale. Make sure these units are consistent, just use whatever unit they provided you with. Also, make sure to select the board layer when choosing the layer. Now, let's click import. This is a single line file. As you can see, if we were to draw this file ourselves, it would be quite troublesome, especially with these arcs and their precise coordinate points. By importing it, the process becomes much simpler. We've just imported it. Alright, that's all for today's introduction to PCB board drawing. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel for more content. Thank you, everyone.